All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Breathe Easy, a podcast brought to you by R. Davis Mechanical. I am Jason Sircone, once again joined by Rob Davis, and today we've got Jake Henderson from Pearl Edison in the house. What's going on, Jake?
What's going on? Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, man. Glad to have you both here because I don't know how to talk about this subject.
That's fair.
And you're the master of the house of this one. So we're going to talk about rebates. And this is something I think as homeowners, we all want more knowledge on,
For sure.
but we probably don't exactly know where to find it.
Yeah, that's fair.
You've heard it here first. This is your resource. Jake is going to go into grand detail about how to understand rebates, when you're eligible, when you're not, all the good stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, before we dive into all of this today, give us a little background on yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Jake Henderson, local Pittsburgh guy through and through. So started with the Pearl Edison group beginning of the summer, kind of when we launched in the Duquesne Light portfolio with them, kind of getting work there. Was in the Navy for a long time, ran,
Nice.
I was a surface warfare officer, so I was a ship engineering officer by trade. So ran ventilation and plumbing on the ships, so learned a lot there. When I got out, I always wanted to get something back in the trades or some sort of work there. So kind of ended up in this field, kind of the mix of both worlds, kind of managing work from 1,000-foot level and then leaning into experts like Rob on how to do the work because I'm not an HVAC expert by any means. So kind of being able to work those relationships and have those relationships with the experts themselves and kind of work that, and then helping with the utilities and rebates is kind of where we're super helpful and excited to kind of get a part of.
So Pearl Edison, what's the overall goal and scope of what you're doing?
So
there?
Pearl Edison, we kind of look at it. We have three stakeholders. We have the homeowner, we have the contractor, and then we have our enterprise partners. In this case, Duquesne Light Company is our enterprise partner. What we do for them is we white label our software platform to the utility companies. We know that homeowners have a lot of trust or at least brand familiarity with their utility companies. Yeah. So we use that as a driving factor to get people into our system. And so the utility company Duquesne Light is marketing to certain homeowners as they deem fit to bring into our platform. And then from there, we kind of create an estimate with them and talk about rebates with the homeowners and then home efficiency upgrades. And that kind of goes to the homeowner side. When you sit down at night at dinner table, when you're talking about efficiency upgrades for your house, there's so much information out there. We try to be kind of the funnel for that information. Yeah. And bring the right people into those homeowners conversations to have those, just like Rob, bringing Rob in for the HVAC side, having him talk to the homeowners and kind of lean on his expertise to help the homeowners in that case. And then we kind of handle the job from there. And we kind of help them just decide what's good for them. We build their whole project. And then for the contractors, we bring the contractors a fully designed, fully scoped projects. Our kind of goal there is to reduce the marketing that Rob has to do to get into those homes. We do the first initial conversation to kind of deem, is this person really interested in a system? That way, when Rob gets the information, he doesn't have to do a lot of that research. We give him kind of a full load calculation of the house and then kind of goals of the homeowner, whether that's to go with a dual fuel system, for example, or mini split in their sunroom. Kind of handle those conversations early, and then really lean on Rob to kind of help design that system with the homeowner and then get it installed. So our goal is to kind of help all three stakeholders at once and kind of be the middleman between them all and handle a lot of those conversations.
So since you mentioned Duquesne Light, I guess this is all more about the electrification that's being pushed. So, if you have a boiler, you may need a second system. Right. And the more efficient way of doing that is a heat pump. And you also mentioned the term dual fuel. A lot of people may not know what that means. A dual fuel system is essentially where you have a forced air gas furnace inside your home, and you'll have a standard air conditioning coil on top of the furnace inside the home. Outside, instead of having an air conditioning unit or a condensing unit, you'll actually have a heat pump. And what a heat pump does is it provides heat and air through your inside system with a reversing valve. We'll have to have another episode on heat pump education and how they work, because there's it confuses a lot of people. Definitely. But it's really, simply put, refrigerant is a sponge. So it sucks up heat, and then you move it to put it somewhere where you don't want it. So in air conditioning mode, the refrigerant's going to come in and suck the heat out of your house, take it outside, and blow that heat outside. When a heat pump's in heat mode, it sucks whatever heat's left in the air outside, brings it inside, and then the blower motor blows that heat through the home. A little more complex, but much higher efficiencies.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you run a dual fuel system, you're getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
We're in the Northeast. We get cold.
Mm-hmm.
So a heat pump's only going to produce 100% heat down to certain degrees. I say certain degrees because each brand and efficiency rating is going to be different. After there's no more heat in the air outside, you need a second source of heat. If you have a straight heat pump with an air handler, that second source of heat is electric. Here in this cold Northeast, that could drive electric bills up pretty high.
Pretty high,
For
yeah.
sure, yeah.
When you have a dual fuel system, you use natural gas furnace when the heat pump can't keep up.
Mm-hmm.
This way, you're getting the highest efficiency version through the electric. When it can no longer keep up, you're getting the highest efficiency version of the gas furnace.
Definitely. So there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of nuances in the system design, which is why we have Rob sitting next to us here and working with us all the time. So.
How did you guys come together? Was it you seeking him out or vice versa?
We kind of, when we first got into the Pennsylvania market, we searched for contractors in the area, and we were recommended to Rob by a couple of different agencies in the Pittsburgh area that do kind of the clean energy stuff. And they said, if you guys are doing anything with HVAC, Rob's your man. So here we are.
We have partnerships with some of those entities that he mentioned. And Duquesne Light's one of our partners as well.
Okay.
We've done a lot of programs for Duquesne Lights with them already being with Duquesne Light. It was pretty natural introduction from Duquesne Light since we had already worked from prior.
For sure.
Great. So let's dive into this a little bit more. And again, I think let's start at the most basic level when it comes to rebates.
Right.
What does it mean?
Yeah.
And
that's a good question.
What does it mean to me as a homeowner?
So as a homeowner, there's a huge bucket of money, or multiple buckets rather, of money out there that is so long as you qualify for those buckets, you can earn money back on doing some of these home efficiency upgrades. Mm-hmm. Right now in the Duquesne Light kind of market, they're pushing for heat pumps. There's different rebates on that. And most of it would be the easiest way is like those values are on their website, but it's somewhere between $375 to $425 for a heat pump install. They also do stuff for weatherization, which is a huge factor and a huge thing that we try to recommend to homeowners, especially in the Pittsburgh area. A lot of these old houses, not much insulation. So a heat pump likes to have a well-insulated shell, as we call it. So if we can get that, that's kind of one of the best things we can do for a house. Okay. Whether that's bringing in insulation into your basement or your attic, kind of just to help that heat pump be more efficient and the house as a whole be more efficient is one of our goals. So basically, like if you wanted a rebate, we would have that conversation. Duquesne Light's pushing that information out to their customers. If not, it's on their website. They have a whole page of rebates available on there. And it kind of talks through what's applicable, what are the requirements. But long story short, if you come to Pearl Edison through Duquesne Light, we'll sit down and we'll have that conversation. And I'll give you different examples. And we'll make sure that that's the equipment, which is one of the hardest things, meets those rebate eligibility requirements, whether that's the efficiency numbers on it or install criteria. We work with, like Rob, for example, on making sure that we have those values met and that we have the certifications to push back to the rebate side of the house. Okay. And we as Pearl Edison will cover the cost of that, and then we'll just a point of sale discount is the rebate, and then we'll submit all the paperwork for most of the rebates. There's a couple like the 25C Inflation Reduction Act tax credit, which is expiring at the end of this year. So if you want it, we can go into that a little more. That's going away. So now is like the best time to get in there and get after it with us. We can.
I didn't know that was expiring this year.
Yeah, it expires. Both 25C and 25D expire 12/31/2025.
So now those rebates, are they? Because this is the questions that I get about. Because there's a lot of rebates, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Duquesne Light's offering some stuff. I know the state of Pennsylvania is offering some rebates right now. Then you have the federal rebates as well. That 25C, 25D, they're the federal rebates, correct?
Yeah, that's through the IRS. That's a tax credit.
And that's a tax credit.
Correct.
Now, some of these other rebates that are available are actual reduction of cost of equipment, where the homeowner gets that back.
100%. Yeah. Okay. And that's the Duquesne Light side is going to be those instantaneous rebates, rather.
Now, are some of these rebates stackable?
They are stackable. And that's the crazy thing about them is that you can stack a Duquesne Light rebate on top of a 25C rebate. They don't look at each other. And in fact, I don't know, I guess I shouldn't say, but I don't know if they care too much. Since we're talking about the 25C for heat pumps, especially, you can get up to $2,000 or 30% of your, or maxed out at 30% of your install price in tax credit for that year, as long as the install was before 12/31/2025. So that's a big date that we talk about a lot with all our homeowners, because we have to get that install at least started before the equipment procured. So that's getting tight. So it's September now. So
has there been any rumors, any talk of maybe that being extended at all?
I don't think it's going to be extended. I know it was in one of the latest budget cuts from big government. They pulled that money back. So it seems to be the end. Is there going to be another version of it in the future? Who knows? I'm not in that world. But if there is, we'll be right there to handle it. On that, though, one of the big things that is coming, and this is kind of down the road, we don't have too many details on it, but it's the Pennsylvania Energy Savers Program, which can be huge. That money was authorized to the state before the budget cuts, so it's already there. It is happening, and the state is working through kind of the procedures of how it's going to be laid out. Our team actually works on the Michigan side of this, and it's in play right now, and it's rolling. And they can get a ton of money, upwards of $34,000 for a house, as long as you qualify, as long as we can prove your efficiency upgrades through a home energy assessment, which is a big part of that. So that program, in some form or fashion, is coming to Pennsylvania. It is coming to the Pittsburgh area. And how that's going to play out, I don't know all the details on that. We can speculate all we want, but until they kind of produce the guidelines for that, we won't know. But there is a website out there for it, so you can sign up to get updates on it. And we'll be a big part of that execution in this area. So that's going to be a big one.
Another helpful website that I learned about a couple years ago for rebates, and this isn't just for heating and air conditioning, this is for all rebates that are available, is desire.org. But you take the E out. It's just D as in David, SIRE. Don't use the first E in the word desire. .org. You pull that up, you type in your zip code, and it'll tell you every rebate that's available to you for across all platforms.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, if there is, I don't know if there is, but if there is a water cleaning rebate, it'll be on there. Every rebate, if you can find a way to save a dung beetle in your neighborhood, there's probably a rebate for it.
That's a good point.
So
like Duquesne Light has duct cleaning and duct insulation rebates.
Yeah.
Right there. That could be huge for a lot of houses. Something easy, not too much of a cost, save some money on that.
Does your typical homeowner know these types of things?
Not typically.
Not typically.
I wouldn't expect anybody to know it because it's so complicated. Like Rob said, there's so many different buckets that you can pull a rebate out of, that we're kind of looking at that as a way that we can help educate homeowners.
Right.
We do it all. The homeowner has a full conversation with us. We'll go to the house, we'll assess the house, and have these conversations in person at no cost to the homeowner. So we're doing all that on our own whim. That's kind of our value proposition, is to educate with that to the homeowners, and then saves Rob from having to do it when Rob's out there doing his work with the actual service and installs and everything. So we kind of help alleviate that to Rob's side, so he doesn't have to answer those calls every day of, what about these rebates? He can.
Oh, we still do.
And he's still going to, but we're trying to alleviate that as much as we can. And kind of fill that gap that we see. So
have you encountered that maybe someone would look for the rebate first before they're contacting you?
Yes.
Okay.
The good thing about the 25C rebate is there's no limitations on your income.
Right. Very true.
Anybody can qualify for that. If you put in, if you meet, if the equipment that's being installed meets the requirements, you can get these rebates. Now, there are other rebates that are income driven that are out there. But a lot of people will call and they'll say, hey, I was talking to my accountant when we did my taxes for last year, and they mentioned that this rebate's going to expire, and, we'd like to take advantage of that. Can you come quote a system? And sometimes it's challenging because to meet the requirements, the cost of the equipment's a lot more expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so a lot of people are looking at it in the terms of just obtaining the rebate, but there are a lot of people that are just trying to be more green.
Yeah.
And those folks are the ones that
you pay that premium.
You pay that premium.
Yeah.
I kind of joke around all the time that you're going to pay one way or the other.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You're either going to pay more up front for the more efficient system, or you're going to pay less up front, but your bill's going to be a little higher. So either way, you're going to pay that over a 20-year period. You're probably spending the same amount of money.
Yeah.
It's just, is it all at once or is it broken down?
Yeah. Any advantages of doing it one way or the other?
Again, it's all
personal preference.
Personal preference.
Yeah.
You know, some people are enamored with saving the earth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. Everybody believes something different.
Certainly.
And you know, we had a funny conversation earlier, Jake, about a study I saw once about bagels and how it was paid for by a donut company. And so you can say, I want this result.
Yeah.
And you can find any study to support that result, just depending on what it is you're trying to prove, you know.
It's like the old heat pump ad that was the anti-heat pump ad by the gas companies.
Right.
They were like, don't use these heat pumps because they were like, oh, this heats. We're the heaters. So it's just interesting how.
Essentially, we as R. Davis Mechanical just try to listen to what the customer is asking for. And then we listen to what it is you're saying you want, and we compare that to what you're saying you need. And sometimes the want isn't achievable, but the need is.
Yeah.
And we try to meet the need, but make the want available.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why being with these folks at Pro Edison and Jake, it makes the want a little easier to swallow when the need, you know, nobody likes to be told you can't have what you want.
Right.
You know, but sometimes people say it themselves. Hey, I want this, but there's no way I can afford it.
Yeah.
But if you can use these rebates and the other knowledge that the folks from Pro Edison can make available, now the one's not so far out.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing that's huge about our platform is we create an instant estimate on that platform. So you basically sit down, you get a link from Duquesne Light, or you can find us on their website. You go on there, basically like 5 minutes of what we call our TurboTax questions. And like, it's basically your address, blah, 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 how many people are in your house. And we kind of pull public data from that. So like basically you go into Zillow, how much square feet is your house? We can roughly size and price something from there. We'll give you an instant estimate. Now that instant estimate is honored so long as nothing changes when I come to your house, and make sure that if our system said, oh, you have a ducted central air system, but in fact you don't, that's going to obviously change the scope of the work by a lot. Now we're thinking
my system. My online system says, this is your estimate based upon an inspection, because we want to know what we're getting into.
But one thing we've noticed with that is it really does help homeowners kind of and filter those folks, just because like it shows you a price. Like because if you're sitting at home like, oh, I should put in like a new system, you don't know what that price looks like. So we're trying to help kind of show that price. Right. And we work with contractors every day, and we're always adjusting that estimate background stuff to make sure our prices are matching the market and the labor requirements and everything. So sometimes we hit the nail on the head with the estimate. Sometimes we're under, and we eat that cost as Pro Edison. That's one of the big things we bring to Rob, is Rob just gives us a price. He doesn't have to go to the homeowner and show that homeowner the price. We handle that intermediate side. So whether our estimate to the homeowner was low, Rob comes back high, we eat that cost. If the other way works, we get to make a little bit of money. And works for us. But then we still go back and adjust to make sure we're hitting those market values. Yeah. So it's always gonna be adjusted throughout the span of our life as a company. So, but we think that we fit in that we save a lot of work for Rob, and having to roll a truck like Rob's been talking about today, kind of the cost behind his company. Yeah, we can kind of, hopefully, our goal is to step in and help with that cost and alleviate those truck rolls to come to homeowners that aren't going to go forward with Rob. Yeah. So for him, he's not making his like money on him, but we can help alleviate that to him and feed him homeowners that are serious and want the good stuff and the good work done by Rob. So
yeah, and on my end, I kind of know that. So I like to trim the fat a little bit. I do that for a lot of our programs we work with, because aside from this and Duquesne Light, we work with some of the low income housing stuff. Mm-hmm. And we try to reduce the cost.
So Jake, talk about some of the challenges that you face. I mean, like I said, from a homeowner's perspective, I feel like there's not enough information out there. I would assume that's a challenge for you guys as well. But what are some other things that you've encountered?
I don't know if the information is probably not much of a challenge for us. We just know where to get it, or at least who to call to find the answer to how to determine it. So that's where we're trying to specialize a little bit. The challenge that we see is what to do after the install, or kind of how to process the rebate. There's a lot of paperwork involved in that. And no one wants to take on more administrative burden necessarily, but we do. And we want to help with that because we know it's not the easiest thing, especially for a contractor. And anything to keep Rob working in a house, that's what he needs to be doing. He doesn't need to be sitting at his computer doing rebates. So we're trying to help kind of alleviate that with our specialists in that side. So really taking on those submittals and everything. And we do that also, if we have the opportunity, we'll do a rebate at point of sale discount, meaning we'll show the rebate on your proposal as a lower cost. We'll front the cost with that rebate included for the work to get done, and then we'll process the rebate as with you on the back end so that you don't have to submit anything. That's the goal. Is that you don't ever have to notice or have to go online and submit this and submit an AHRI certification. You don't know what that is. So,
I would have to assume that, that there's so many levels and layers to that that most people just tap out.
And it's that, like, if there's a little bit of friction, a lot of people will tap out and then not even capitalize on it. There's probably a ton of people that have qualified for this 25C $2,000 rebate for a heat pump. And then there's a whole laundry list of other things. You can get rebates for weatherization. You can get rebates for insulating your ducts. You can get a new fridge rebate. Like all of these things, an EV charger rebate right now.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, but you can only use one 25C per year.
Right. And that's where I was getting. So you kind of limit yourself on that. So you get one of those a year. And obviously with that coming to an end,
you better move fast.
Better pick which one you kind of need to get done. So a lot of information out there on it. Like I won't sit here and cover the ins and outs of like the cost breakdowns, because knowingly I'll probably say one just a little wrong and confuse somebody more. So there's a bunch of resources out there that break it down by item and what you can get for it. One of those is on the Duquesne Light website. They have the 25C broken down in the home efficiency side, and they have a whole thing for rebates on their website. It spells it all out right there.
Yeah, I was going to say, from a homeowner's perspective, even if I was going to go do a Google search, like, would I just do homeowner rebates? In
home efficiency rebates. Is a good one. That gets you far enough. There's different names for it all, but basically the whole thing is pushed along with the efficiency side. So as long as we can make things more efficient, that's how we get those rebates unlocked. And that can be a process that needs some explanation. So for us to prove those efficiency upgrades, not necessarily right now in Duquesne Light's area, because we have rebates for just heat pumps, and the 25C will be just for a heat pump. More so if we get into those kind of the new ones coming out, the Penn Energy Savers program. And in Michigan, it's called the Michigan Home Energy Rebate Program. We have to go in and do a full home energy assessment. It takes about 3 hours in a house.
Wow.
Yeah.
We look at everything. We look at what type of appliances you have. We take serial numbers, model numbers down. We pull all that information, your duct sizing, your AC size, your label plates on all that. What type of windows do you have? What type of insulation is in your exterior walls? What type of insulation is in your attic, your basement, your rim joists, all these things. We spent a lot of time. We were trained through the building science on that to get those certifications to do that. From there, that creates our baseline. And they're going to do this in the Penn Energy Savers program as well. So this is something to just talk about, so homeowners kind of know what's coming. How that home energy assessment and who's going to do that home energy assessment in Pennsylvania is not fully decided on, as far as I know right now. It could be, but basically somebody's going to come to your house. They're going to do this home energy assessment. They're going to establish your baseline. And with that is included your 12 months of utility bills, both gas and electric. So now we know your house, like Jake's house, uses this much electricity, this much gas. There's assumptions in a software that the state makes us use. We can go in there and we can change systems. And I can say, I put in a high efficiency heat pump system. What does that do to my whole house efficiency? Or I went and I just air sealed and insulated your rim joists. Now I just got 20% increase of efficiency on your house because I'm keeping all that air in your house. So that's a huge step in those rebates that are coming. And it's just something to talk about because somebody's going to be in your house for 3 hours. It's not a normal visit from anybody. It's like, hi, I'm Jake. I'm here to do your home energy assessment. And then we break out all this crazy equipment. We do a blower door test. So we assess the leakiness and the infiltration level of your house and all that stuff. So it's a lot of stuff moving around. But
have you guys been trained on sick house syndrome since you're sealing these houses up?
We have. And there's definitely a limit on too much sealing of a house. And that's a huge thing to talk about. It goes with that, we always, anytime I'm in a house, if I can do a blower door test, I'm going to do a blower door test. It's in my truck at all times, ready to go. So long as there's no like health and safety requirements that are in the house. If you have asbestos or vermiculite or mold, we won't do a blower door test just because it's going to stir that stuff up, and it can be a health issue in the end. If none of that's there, if I'm coming to your house, expect me to want to do a blower door test. Doesn't take long, but it's going to assess your infiltration on that. And like Rob said, you can make a house too tight. There's ways to get that. You have to scope in kind of different ventilation aspects to that on the project work to make sure that we can bring fresh air to that house. Because the sick house syndrome, you just have the same stale, gross air moving around, circulating in your system. That's not good. It needs fresh air. So,
and that's how you get mold growing behind your drywall because you don't have enough fresh air turns per hour in the home.
Yeah,
and that was a big problem in the early 90s when they were building these uber efficient houses. They were over insulating for tax rebates. And then the other thing that it allowed them to do was, say, again, an example, you were building a house that needed 100,000 BTU furnace and a 3.5 ton air conditioner. By over insulating, they were able to put 60,000 BTU furnaces in a 2 ton air conditioner. But then that's when they learned that the houses were sealed so tight that mold start growing.
Wow.
So then you had to introduce things like ERVs and HRVs to reintroduce fresh air to the home.
Man, I guess
that's a fancy way of saying like exhaust, like bringing fresh air into the house is the key. So that blower door test, we don't not only test it day one at your house, but after the installation's ever done, where air sealing's done, we'll come back and test it again, and we'll get the actual real-time data for that. And we can on the spot say like, oh, your house it's good. We don't need to install any of this stuff. But if we have to, we would just scope it in.
Is this something you should do frequently? Have you guys
blower door test?
Like any of these tests that you would do, is this something that we should be more cognizant of on a more consistent basis? Or
I think if you're seeking, like if you're looking at designing a new system, it helps. We talk a lot in the world of like manual J, which is called a load calculation for a house. It's one thing that we help with for the contractors. So basically, we're sizing the equipment to your house. What size air conditioner do you need for your specific house? So like in that load calculation, that infiltration number from the blower door test is put in there, and it can change the sizing of your equipment. And we can then model that, and we can say, say your infiltration was really high, if I went in and I spent X amount of dollars air sealing your house, does it get your house more efficient so that I can drop down a size, a ton in an AC unit?
Yeah.
Then maybe the juice is worth a squeeze in that case. But if it's not really going to affect you, granted, like we always will say, you should air seal and insulate, just kind of like a base. We always recommend that just to help, right? Because if you're going to keep the air that you're conditioning or heating in your house, you're going to eventually pay less in the end for doing it again. So
on my side of things, having a home energy audit or home energy assessment, usually what happens is someone will have an obscene electric bill for 2 or 3 months. Then they call the electric company. Hey, my electric bill all of a sudden is real high. And then the electric company will recommend a home energy audit. Or the same thing with the gas companies. If you have an unusually high gas bill for a month or two, you call the gas company and say, hey, and well, first thing they're going to do is they're going to send somebody out and test your meter. And if the meter's fine, then they're going to recommend a home energy audit. Sometimes they're free, sometimes they're not. Again, that's all, I believe, income driven, if I'm not mistaken.
Duquesne Light offers a free home energy audit. It is not through us, but they do offer one separately.
Yeah, there's a few companies in the area. I used to be certified for that. I stopped and I sold the equipment just because it was just too much on my plate.
You have enough to do, they take a lot of time. You can, with somebody doing it full time, they can do 2 a day at max. So just because it takes time, tear down, questions,
driving,
data manipulation on the end, plugging it into a software. It's a lot.
But that's usually when you hear of people getting those, or like Jake said, if they're trying to get a specific rebate and it's a requirement. But so to answer your question, no, it's not something you have very frequent or it's not something you need to have unless there's a reason to need it.
Right. All right. Well, around the subject of rebates, is there anything we haven't covered that you want to make sure homeowners listening and checking out this podcast understand.
I can't reiterate enough that 25C is going away, regardless of how you use it.
So depending on when you hear this show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Like,
It's
this
whenever
is completely
September.
irrelevant.
Yeah, hopefully it's before December 31st.
Yeah, we'll be out before then. But
Yeah.
however, if you're hearing this in 2026, you're SOL.
Yeah, sorry. Call me.
Yeah.
We'll deal with hopefully the next chapter of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one. I think that one right now is the biggest pressing. That it's going away in a couple months. So like, if you haven't taken advantage of it, first just go on and look into research of it. There's a lot of opportunities on there, not just a heat pump,
Yeah.
not just insulation. There may be something that you've already done this year that could be filed under that, as long as it was installed before 12/31. That was good. And then with any other questions on rebates, don't be afraid to reach out to us at Pearl Edison. We really want to help educate the homeowners, even the contractor side, and then the enterprise side too. So really just all three stakeholders. If there's ever any questions, we'll be the ones that can help you deep dive in there and find an answer and hopefully help the homeowners.
Yeah, I'll make sure we
And
put
Rob.
a link. Yeah, for sure. We'll make sure that link's in the show notes. That
Yeah.
way everybody can access you guys and
For sure.
learn more. Rob, anything you want to send us home with?
Not really, just another company, another resource that we've partnered with to make your lives easier.
Excellent.
Yeah, keep going to Rob. Keep feeding Rob work. If you guys, I can't say that enough. If you need
Yeah,
any
one hand
HVAC
washes the other.
any HVAC work or heating work or plumbing work, what don't you do? Driveways, maybe?
No.
You'd probably figure it out if you had to.
If we had to.
Go to Rob. But seriously, I get to see his work. It's legit.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
Good. All right. Well, thanks for joining us for another episode of Breathe Easy, a podcast brought to you by R. Davis Mechanical. As you know, this is your strategy guide for home ownership when it comes to heating, cooling, plumbing, all the stuff you need to know is right here on this podcast. We're glad you're here, Rob, Jake. Glad you were here as well. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. We'll see you guys on the next episode.